children are born in the house. You feel me? My children are homeschooled. Okay.
You don't take them to the hospital or none of that?
Nah, but I'm not extreme. So if it was necessary, I would, but it hasn't been necessary. You know, one of the things, I mean, we gotta look at the hospital, just to detour a little bit. They'll have would you lay down to defecate? Like if you had to use the bathroom and you get closer and closer to your house and you're like, man, it's starting to really come out. Would you then go to the toilet and lay down to try to make come out? No, you wouldn't. You would squat. That's kind of like what we do when we're on the toilet. But now here's a woman that's supposed to give birth to a child in the medical institutions where all these people with certificates are going to turn around and tell that woman to lay down, to go against gravity and compromise the integrity of her spine, all right, and then want to induce labor, all right, and give her epidurals. And if the child is born inside of 30 to 45 minutes from the time of that shot, then the child comes out, the eyes closed, we thinking it's perfectly normal, but the child is drugged up. That's crazy. But we could go to Egypt, like I went to Egypt, and I went to the world's first hospital, Temple Philae, and you see all over the walls, the women squat and do not go against gravity. But they were the ones that's considered to be incompetent. But today in contemporary science, we got women still laying down. And even the placenta, because I delivered my daughters. I didn't cut the placenta when the baby came out. We let the afterbirth come out. And we let the placenta continuously contract so the rest of the stem cells could get to the child, which would diffuse the potentiality of the child actually getting sick. And it heightens that child's consciousness. Absolute fact. My daughter was 4 years old speaking 4 languages. My Hotep Atumre. So, but we cut it the second the child was born. And if we were to go to the hospital right now and say, I would like to keep the afterbirth, they would give us hell. We would have to sign all sorts of applications and everything just to have entitlement to something that comes out of that woman's body. We would actually sign off papers if we had to go to the hospital for the people that tell, make sure you get your placenta, make sure you get your afterbirth. They will give you hell to do that. Why? Because it has so much DNA and so much of those stem cells that's used to cure people that come from a different demographic, who have more genetic implications, right? And they use us as the fountain of youth. It's no different from Henrietta Lacks, the oldest woman on planet Earth. They've been still using her cells from the time she was alive decades ago, okay? Henrietta Lacks, they use her cells to create the remedy and the cures for several of the diseases that we are subject to today as a black woman. And we look her up and we'll see they've been using her DNA from the time that she died without the permission of her family to cure people of other races. Henrietta Lacks, you can look it up. So the reason why I don't take my children to the hospital, the reason why I suggest, we have doulas and midwives. Do it at home. It's because, for one, you don't want to be exploited genetically and financially, because anything that has a certificate on it, like a birth certificate, has a QSIP, and a QSIP is a Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedure, and the key word is security. And the security is a paper certificate that attests to ownership and equity, as in the case of a stock, or ownership of a bond, as in the case of a debt obligation, which has tradable derivatives, which means it can be sold in the stock market. So all this merely means, if you have a death certificate, you have a birth certificate, you have a marriage certificate, somebody is making money. There's already been a promissory note. There's already a promise what this person is going to make. And your failures cost money. Your failures make people money. Like if you get married and you have over $15,000, $20,000 in back taxes due, they won't allow you to get a divorce. Now, what part of your marriage said that in the contract? You feel me? That means the state is making some money off the situation. So that man could be abusing you. You could be on the verge of dying in that relationship. You ain't going to get that divorce if you owe too much property taxes. You didn't know that when you married him, that was part of the implication, but it has a QSIP on it, a Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedure. And the word security intimates that there's a debt obligation. So you can't be brought into this world without someone monetizing it. You can't die without someone monetizing it. You can't get together without someone monetizing it, because we go into the legal context of law, we'll see that the word minority means what? An adult that thinks in an adolescent state of mind, that needs a third-party medium to help them facilitate. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't. So you are acting in your minority. It's a dichotomy to the words that we use. So we may use the word minority and think that it loses a percentage. But when we're dealing with law, we see the word minority means that you're an adult that can't make decisions on your own. So you need someone to marry you. You need someone to send you to Allah or to God or to Jehovah or Yahweh Shai or Yeshua. You need somebody to bring you into this world, because you can't do it yourself because you're too incompetent. So for that reason, in addition to the health implications, a child being in the womb of a mother for 9 months, darkness, then to be subject to lights that do not biologically embed. Sunlight grants us intelligence, and it communicates higher thoughts and frequency to us which empowers the body to be able to facilitate in ways that is most conducive and progressive for the human body. But to bring a child out of darkness for 9 months, conception, and a woman has to go through 3 perfect ovulations for her to even be able to conceive. So 3 months inception, 9 months conception, 12 months totality. That child is born from darkness, subject to all these bright hospital lights. That's wicked. You know how you feel when you're in a dark house for a long period of time and then you go out and the sun is there? You get this headache. Imagine how the child feels when the child is born after being submerged in the darkness of the mother's womb, only to come out to these bright lights and to be held by someone that's not even the father, someone that contributed to the birth of the child, but to a stranger. And then this woman cannot keep her child long enough because then she got to go on maternity leave, so she got to go back to work, right? So that psychologically plagues that child because that child's not ready to let go of their mother, but she has to go back to work. So we have to work harder to get our women off the clock because 6 months is not enough time for someone that stayed in the womb for 9 months and 3 months ovulation. Because when a woman is born, she's born with all the ovate cells she'll ever have. So when a woman is born, she's born with all the children she will potentially have. And she is a summation of all the stress incurred, all the damage and all the affliction that she may have had to endure. Our children are a summation of everything she experienced from the time she came into this world, which is why we teach that the black woman is God and we got to protect and honor her. And we don't mean it that she created every single thing here. We mean she's part of everything that is here outside. So we got to respect our women. We got to understand whatever we do to her afflicts our children before they even conceived.